Why, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Monday, another edition of a late night on chain. I am your friend, your host, a guy in his 40s named Bill the Bull, producing the number one show for boomers and crypto with talking about interviewing everyone, talking AI, apps, tech, and on chain. Source, trust me, bro. Listen, Dre guy's the GOAT. He's a younger guy, he's killing it. But why can't there be an older dude interviewing some of the best builders and people in this space that target a little older of a crowd? Why can't it be me? And here I am, Monday through Thursday. We do this noon PST where we talk about people across all chains. Today's show is going to be extra spicy, a little interesting. We have a man named Jesse Pollak. He's the creator of Base. He agreed to come on the show. A lot's been happening over on Baseland. Most of it's pretty bad. So we'll talk about that. And I look forward to hearing his discussion. Well, who we really need to have on the show at some point is Brian Armstrong, because Brian, very polarizing, sir. Very polarizing tweets today, my friend. So we'll dive in. Hopefully, Jesse can answer a lot of the things that we all have a question about, and so we will be talking to them. We also are bringing on Pons. Pons is crushing it over on Robinhood. But yes, before we begin, though, my friends, we got to make sure that we show some love. And today's episode is brought to you by the one and only BV7X. BV7X, millions of AI agents competing around the clock. They gather the info, they run the numbers, they make the call. BV7X turns their consensus into verified tradable alpha. Every signal on chain lives on Base. The world's sharpest models are already competing in the arena. Put agentic intelligence behind your next move. Get started at BV7X.ai. Guys, in case you don't know, BV7X is absolutely chads, so highly recommend them. But we also have a few words from our supporting sponsors. You might be wondering who they are. Well, one of them is Banker. Banker, shout out to Banker. They provide the agentic tooling for agents to operate autonomously on chain. Bankers, where builders launch agentic businesses, raise from the market, and reach their audience, back the next generation of founders, or become one. Two more that show some love to late night on chain. We got a new one. A new one coming up is Build DeFi. Want to give a shout out to them. Build DeFi, I think that's actually now. They are coming to Base very soon. They're also on Robinhood. Fair mint phase allows everyone to get in at launch price. No bonding curve. Locked LP. Created at Uniswap at launch. Builders earn ETH from trading fees, not token allocations. Build DeFi, one of the newest launch pads over on Robinhood on Base, coming soon. Ethereum, multi-chain, and last but not least, Albemarle City, baby. The first tokenized city on the Solana blockchain. The lands are beautiful. The resources are abundant. Check out Albemarle today. All right, without that away, let's just dive in. All right, let's just dive in. Shout out to everyone tuning in. Jesse will be on, by the way, in 45 minutes from now, 40 minutes. We're going to first have Pons on. So most of you guys probably don't care about me, but it's all good. If you want to check out, hang out, whatever, the numbers show up regardless. You click this button one time, you see it, and the numbers appear. All good. All good. All good. We zoomed at least 2,000 per show. 2,000. I think we're gonna smash that one today. But all right, listen. But before we begin, let's just kind of dive in on the recent stuff of what's going on. So today was a very interesting tweet storm by Mr. Armstrong. I'm not going to read it all. I made a reaction video on it in case you guys want to hear what's going on. But pretty much, he was kind of giving his spiel as to the profile change. For those that don't know, on Friday, maybe you're not in the trenches and you're just turning in and you just don't know what's going on. Here's what happened. On Thursday, Brian Armstrong changed his PFP to some meme. And naturally, everyone in the trenches were lost their mind. They bridged over. This thing hit a 30 million market cap, $100 million of volume. It was the attention. It vamped a lot of liquidity on Robinhood. People were just like, oh my God, the CEO of Coinbase is pushing meme culture. Again, it was a shift of like, hey, maybe Brian understands the power of meme. So naturally, trenchers did what they did, buy in. And 24 hours later, nothing was said. And then he did quite possibly the unthinkable, which was change his PFP back to fucking whatever these things are called, CryptoPunks. Obviously, the thing taking 90%. Everyone's absolutely outraged. And so Monday comes and he puts this statement out regarding the recent buzz. He appreciates the feedback, yada, yada, yada. Want to clear the expectations. I'm simply posting things I find interesting or funny on the internet. I may not be aware there's a coin or project attached to the content I'm posting. You should assume I'm not to be safe. My posts and profile pics are all endorsements or not endorsements or commitments to anything. Bases are a shot out building foundational, blah, 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 blah. I'm not even gonna read that because honestly, that's literally corporate speak. On topic of support, base, there's confusion. There are many tokens we would like to list on our centralized, but we can't for compliance reasons. He's losing the point there. I think majority of people aren't even concerned about getting on Coinbase. Getting a Coinbase listing, and we can talk, and I hope Jesse answers a lot of these questions. Getting a Coinbase listing is not the biggest thing that people care about these days. Even though there's a lot of like wondering like why are certain things listed, I think it misses the plot completely. There's dexes. You can buy the token anywhere in the world. The Coinbase app or the wallet, you can buy it there. FOMO, it doesn't matter. It's about the support that builders are getting, and more importantly, the creating the foundational structure of inclusion that you actually care about the community. That's more of the things that they're concerned with. What we're committed to support, blah, 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 corporate speak. Okay. I highly recommend everyone giving a read of what Rune responded. Rune Crypto. I mean, from my perspective, like I said, I'm a crypto journalist, media guy. I just want to spread truth. First of all, I do want to say something about this. Bill, BetX, what about late night based profile coin? Well, first of all, sir, thank you for the question. Thank you for tuning in. Creator Coins was a meta that occurred in 2025 through Zora's platform. Zora has literally went to shit and everything's tied together. The whole Creator Coin model, I actually really do like. I think the Creator Coin model is I know most people hate it. I understand the value of it from a media perspective. But it has to be done correctly. And obviously Zora, when everything is bonded to Zora and it just goes down, literally everything goes down with it. So it's basically a dead situation thanks to Zora. And I've had Zora on, and they've pivoted like 500 times. And shout out to D for coming on the show once, but I think Zora is a dead project, honestly. But that's a whole nother topic. Why did Coinbase support or base support Zora? All those things. Basically, I don't know. But those are questions that I do hope to get answers from Jesse, because last year they pushed certain narratives and he came back, recently last week saying, he made mistakes. Okay. It was wrong. Okay. But people knew about that last year. So anyways, profile coin, creator coins are great, but this, when it's tied to an asset like Zora, it's doomed. Okay. So anyways, we'll have him on. But there's a lot of questions to be had because Rune makes good points. And actually, in one of his responses, Brian says something about he doesn't pay attention to the trenches. It's like, bro, what? First of all, who's approving your tweets? Like, what? Like, that to me was the most perplexing thing I've ever heard. That's literally the last thing you should say. You don't pay attention to trenches. Listen, it could be true you don't pay attention, but you need to give the impression that you actually care about the builder. You can say we're creating economic activity for all infrastructure, but the question becomes, who are you championing? Who are you actually concerning yourself with? Are you concerning yourself with the corporate VC interests, the Silicon Valley types, the institutional grade capital? Because if you are, Coinbase is doing a great job on that. Institutional capital, venture capital, institutional interests, they're great. They're basically AVAX. AVAX is push business, quote unquote business. It's a running joke on the AVAX community. But that is not the lifeblood of this on-chain economy. The on-chain economy is the people who tune into these shows, the builders, the independent builders who are not funded by A16, who are not Silicon Valley insiders, who are not, literally 99% of the people are the grassroots builders who come on-chain to create a better life for themselves. And those are the ones that you have to align yourself with, make them feel like they can achieve whatever they want. If you gear towards the direction of only the Silicon Valley elites, the corporate interests, your chain will survive clearly, but it's basically dead in the sense of like, you're going to get no activity at all from the trenchers. Like, and that's pretty much AVAX. And that's pretty much ZK Sync. Although I think ZK Sync's pretty bad. What else? Optimism, Polygon. I don't know who uses those chains. No one's Ghost Chain. So the question that really comes to mind is, can a chain incubated, a layer two incubated by Coinbase thrive when Coinbase, led by Brian, has a completely different interest and different mindset as to, I'm sure there's regulatory concerns, but like their structure is pushing corporate interests, shareholders more than anything. Can a layer two survive? Because Jesse can only do so much. I personally believe, this is my thoughts. I have no clue, but I've been on this chain for a long time. Hands probably are tied. I'm sure there's some battle. There is absolutely some battle where, you know, on the one hand, layer two, economic expansion, freedom, opportunity for all, which also means highlight the builders, highlight, it doesn't mean crime anything. It just means show some support, show some love, put the spotlight on them. I don't know if it really works with this whole CEO Silicon Valley elitist crowd, which comes to the ivory tower example. Brian's proven the kind of showing the case. Like he's sitting on his throne, and like you're not paying attention to literally the activity on chain that's driving hundreds of millions of dollars. You're not paying attention. I don't know. I don't buy it at all. Personally, I do not buy it. I believe it's corporate speak. I would love to have Brian on. I really would. I really would, because it's just like it just doesn't make any sense to me. And now you have chains like Robinhood coming in. Why do you think people are like bridging out to Robinhood in the blink of an eye? Do you think that it's because of loyalty to Robinhood? No. But you know what they're doing? They're showing they actually give a damn about the little person. They're showing they actually understand that it's not just corporate VC interests. That's the narrative. If you are a chain and you're only building for the corporate interest, and you can say all you want for builders, this and that, we care. People aren't that stupid. People aren't that stupid. Robinhood's actually showing, though, first of all, it's fun, but Robinhood's showing that, like, based on the recent things of Vlad, that the CEO of Robinhood, he understands it's not just utility coin projects, RWAs, meme culture. It's an all-inclusive field, so people feel appreciated. And I think that's the key thing. Right now, no one on base feels appreciated. They feel rinsed. I mean, Brian just changing his PFU was I don't know what he was thinking. He's not that dumb. He's not that dumb. He knows markets move based on what he does, and he was probably inundated with so many replies. Like he has Kobe on. Like I guarantee you, Kobe is probably like, "What are you doing?" I mean, one of the tweets, I don't know. Don't want to speak for him, but we'll hopefully get some answers from Jesse. But it's not good on Coinbase land, and not good on Base's part at all. And I think people are frustrated. I think it's gonna be very difficult. Like that move, just changing the PFP, set Base back like a year, 6 months, 12 months to a year. I mean, the only person who probably disagrees is maybe Poet, but other than him, he's the only like Coinbase bull left. But I mean, I don't know a single person who's just like, "Oh, this is great." I really don't. And if you are someone who says, "Oh, this is great," please reply. I would love to have this encouraging discussion. But it's set back 6 to 12 months. I think a lot has to change, but I don't think anything will change. Like Jesse can do whatever he needs to do to try to champion it. But if Brian, the CEO, still has that same mentality of like, this ivory tower mentality of like not caring about trenches, it's never going to go anywhere, my opinion, because people don't want to get rinsed and people want to feel accepted. I mean, it's a human nature to feel accepted, and they want to feel that they matter. And I think corporate interests, you just cannot do that. All right, let's hold on a second. Let's make sure we get Pons is coming on the show. We're looking forward to having them on. All right, so we'll be having them on. Yeah, Tess, I agree. Stupid move on Brian's part. I think it's very naive to think that he didn't know. Again, my personal perspective, I think it's very naive. But I mean, it sucks too, because like there's so many good builders on base, but like if you do not provide a conduit of people actually trading, then these builders leave, and then you're just stuck with what, processing Visa transactions. Again, corporate chain is fine, but that's what you are. Retail is not gonna, retail is gonna go where they feel welcome and there's opportunity. So we will see what's going on. But yeah, Jesse will be on at 30 minutes. But let's stop me talking. I'm interesting, but who's more interesting? the one and only Ozzy from Pons. My friend, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Dude, I am good. Welcome to the show. First of all, man, holy shit, man. Congratulations on success. How does it feel to see Pons in such a short, limited time just dominate and skyrocket the Robinhood charts and build such a great community?
It feels good. It feels surreal. Like I talk to my team about it every day. I'm like, dude, how did we even get here? But no, it feels good. It feels good that we are, like growing, and it's really exciting to see what other people are building on Pawns at the moment. So yeah, it's super exciting.
Talk to me. Okay, so talk to me about how this all came to be, right? So Robinhood, for those that don't know, shout out to the 1,700 plus people tuning in live late night on Chain, Bill with and Ozzy from Pons. So Robinhood hasn't been, for those that might not be aware, Robinhood hasn't been around too long. Cash Cat came in, shot parabolic to, I don't know, 200 million. And there was a launch pad that kind of dominated it. And I guess for whatever reason, regulatory concerns left. So talk to me, Ozzy. At what point, once you saw the writing on the wall, were you just like, hey, the race for number one launch pads here, we need to build it? When did you really start thinking that?
Good question. It was not like, oh, like I need to hop on this opportunity or whatever. It was more we were building a bridge to DBK chain because the Noxa token was trading on there. And while we were building that, we realized, hey, like Nox is not coming back, and like the domain is gone, and I heard that some funds were like transferred to another wallet, and like gold and Bitcoin, I think. And yeah, so that was like kind of the background. And while we were like building it, I was like, hey, like maybe I can wire the existing contracts into this, and we can just like have a new interface. Because like to me it just felt like I don't know, it just left a very bad taste in my mouth, seeing like Robinhood growing like in terms of volume, and then like the first thing that happens is a launch pad just disappears overnight. And I was like, we need to allow the people to trench. Like there is not much out there at the moment. It is a new chain. I mean, maybe there were other launch pads, but not that I heard of, or like where others were like excited to launch on. So I just took it from there, and I realized that the contracts on chain are not enabled anymore. So I could not, like wire that in. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. It was not like intentional. It was not like, oh, like I need to, like sneak myself into this now. It was more like, hey, like we should just, like build something so everyone else can, like launch as they wish. And yeah, that's kind of how we started off. And yeah, seeing this product grow now and finding such a deep PMF early on is just very interesting to see. And yeah, it's very exciting.
I mean, it's beyond exciting from my perspective and extremely interesting. What do you contribute? Because you hit the gold standard. I mean, building on chain in today's world, there's something that I say all the time with the rise of AI. The building aspect isn't as necessarily the biggest roadblock anymore going forward. It's actually distribution. Distribution is the name of the game for all builders. Getting people to care about your product and getting the attention. You guys, I mean, clearly dominated that. So let me ask you, Ozzy, what do you contribute? So once you deployed, what do you contribute the success and the rise so fast to Pons? Do you think it's a matter of people liking maybe, because again, the product's fantastic, but in order for people to understand the product, they had to know about it. So what was your way of getting the attention of the Robinhood trenchers?
Yeah, so I said it early on a different show. I think it was just people were probably looking for a builder who has somewhat of a reputation, and where people actually know the builder and who wouldn't just disappear with the treasury. I think that was like one aspect that really led to the success, and me just being fully transparent with what we are building and how we're building it. To me, it was never about like me just going out there and then just take over all that market share and just like disappear. It's more like, hey, like we have the opportunity to build something very beautiful here, align with the community fully. And I feel like people call like Pons the people's launchpad, and I think it's somewhat true because as you can see, like we're really trying our best to be fully aligned with the community and to make sure that every feedback is being heard. And I think that also led to the great success of the product. But again, we're not where we are at. Like we are not, we're still not where we want to be, but like we're getting there. And there's just so much more work that needs to be done in order to be fully aligned with the community and make sure that all of the features that have been requested, all the bugs have been fixed, and so on. So I think like there's still so much work to do, but I think those are the early contributions that led to whatever Pons is right now. And if it's the leading launchpad of Robinhood, or just a launch pad on Robinhood, I don't think like we're just going to stop. We're just going to continue growing and reiterating and making sure that like everything works as intended.
Now, when you're building Pons, have you, I guess, taken inspiration of what other competitors say on Solana, Pump Fun, or whatever, what they've done, and tried to figure out ways to do it better? Like what kind of inspiration in building Pons are you using to ensure that your platform becomes the best launchpad, not just on Robinhood, but eventually across every chain? Have you talked to us about, how you view competitors' analysis in building Pons?
I think, look, the chain is still in its early stages, so it just launched, and I think people really do feel comfortable with how the eco is evolving. And like I'm very, very open about this to like others. I am not really focused on competition much. I think competition is very healthy and will just lead to more innovation. And like I've spoken to a bunch of people. I'm also open to speak to other launchpads and so on. And I think that like the more we do, the more we grow. And as you said, like especially with the rise of AI, if we go ahead and reiterate and make the products better and better and better, that will just lead to more success on chain. And I think that's just my point of view. What we're going to do in order to really be on top of the game, just focus on what we've been focusing on since like the day of launch, right? It's just us being transparent, community aligned, making sure feedback is heard. Just now I actually opened up a builders chat because I really want to be supportive of all of the builders that are on Pons and building on Pons. And I've seen very, very cool projects, and I just want to be there for them because I come from a time where like having this type of support was considered rare.
I love that. I speak to builders literally every day. That's my job, right? And one of the defining characteristics, no, the defining characteristics, but the characteristics that I see and this is for all the entrepreneurs out there, a shared characteristic of all the winners in this space is that they view competition as healthy. I think that's absolutely true. I feel that, you should be so concerned about your project that you welcome competition because, not only can you, learn from others, it's healthy and it makes your product better because you see what other people doing, and it basically informs you that you have product market fit because competitors would only come in if you're building something of value because they want a piece of the pie. So I absolutely love that you said you're not concerned about competitors because that's absolutely the right mentality to have. All right, so for right now, for the 2600 tuning in, this episode will also be on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, head over to YouTube or X, but YouTube will probably be recorded. You'll get to see right now a screen image of the actual Pons.family site. So Ozzy, explain to me, how does this work? All right. So right now, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a graduate page. How does the graduation work? At what market cap is it then publicly traded? Talk to me about the nuts and bolts of launching on Pons.
Absolutely. So the way how it works right now is similar to Noxa. It's not a bonding curve at the moment. It's just direct deployment into Uni V3 pools. What you can do and see here is like obviously the graduation page, which is accomplished once a token hits 4.2 ETH. And you can go ahead and connect your wallet there. We have obviously also dark and light mode for those who are interested in dark mode, like yourself. And yeah, it's still like we're still optimizing it. I'm pretty sure you understand that we have a lot of requests at the moment. So like everything is, it's in place, but it needs to be optimized. And then if you go to, like connect your wallet, you can go ahead and connect it. You can create tokens. You can, like pick a ticker, you can pick a name and so on, just like with every other launchpad. And if you scroll down, you have like several options, right? Like you can go ahead and, like look for specific new or like freshly traded pairs or like tokens here. The newest are there. Like if someone is launching a token, it will be popping up there. You also have oldest, you have market cap and so on. and then you can also see how many tokens have been launched so far. And as you can see, it's 62,000. If the indexer is currently working as intended, then yeah, it should be over 60,000 tokens. If you click on a specific token, for instance, if you click on Pons right now, you will see that we have a chart that is not like TradingView or anything. It's actually custom built, and I wanted to make sure that the experience here is a little bit different than other launch pads, because I think like just slapping TradingView charts is just like overused at this point.
Sure.
But yeah, to me, like the goal was really to make the interface as beautiful as possible and also as smooth as possible, and also catches the attention of the user, of course. And I think that's also one thing that a lot of people told me, that they really do like what they're seeing. And yeah,
I mean, look at it for those that this is pretty mind-blowing, actually. I mean, again, you guys have been in existence, what, a week? How long? A week?
yeah, it's I think it's 6 days or something. I lost track.
Brother, I mean, I'll be your cheerleader on this one. In 6 days or less than a week, whatever, all-time volume, 302 million. All-time launches, 53,000, 4 million trades, 3.29 million in creator ownings. Protocol revenue already at 422,000 in just such a short period of time. I mean, this is, you can't have fake numbers like that. What has been because I actually don't know, what has been the oh, and again, guys, nothing I say is financial advice. I have to make mention of that. Some people are like, well, you're endorsing. I'm not endorsing anything. I just bring on builders who I think are insanely cool. You were one of them. And I'm not endorsing any projects on any launch pad or nothing, but I just get that out there. No crying in the casino, people. What has been one of the recent successes? What has been the biggest, I guess, creator launch besides yours on your platform? Genuinely curious.
If you go to Explorer, you will see, I mean, it's the top traded tokens
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
so one of these like YOLO or Wirebot. So what do
Exactly.
you think? What do you think? I guess from a launchpad's point of view, because distribution is the name of the game. What do you recommend some of these projects who use your platform to launch? How would you best advise them, or advice that you would give them to help them get distribution, get people to know about them? Because I think that would benefit a lot of creators if they kind of knew advice, what to do to get people's attention in such a saturated market. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I actually do. I mean, since for instance, like as you can see, Wirebot is like one of those projects that is like non-meme coin. I'm actually speaking to the founder in DMs, and I'm like also giving him advice, and I'm also like happy to give advice to other founders who are like currently working on a project that is about to launch on Pons or is on Pons right now. But yeah, I told him as well, like, hey, this is like maybe something that you can wire into your current project, and then also giving advice on like how to like do it. My advice to all builders, whether it's on Pons or not on Pons, is just to really build in public, to really establish a really deep network, talk to others, ask them for their opinion, ask them for feedback. I'm also like very certain that this also led to the success, or like the great success of Pump Fund, because even in my old days, Elon was in my DMs telling me, hey, I'll launch this, I want to get your feedback, and so on. Not just me, but also maybe a lot of other people. But yeah, I think that this is really great approach. Like if you listen to your community, you will have great success, especially if you really like work on something and you work on it every day and you're just consistent. And I always say that to my friends or even my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, like if you want to be successful, or if you want to work on something that is successful, obsession is like one major fact or like factor. And
Absolutely.
obsession is like it has also something to do with consistency, right? So if you're consistent, like some people make it a chore, they're like, oh, I have to be consistent. No, like if you're obsessed, it obviously like comes along with it, and you don't have to worry about being consistent because you already have this thing that is called obsession, right? So that's my advice to the builders. Like if you don't believe in yourself or your product or like your capabilities, you might have a hard time, with especially with distribution. You just got to go out there and do it, and you got to do it better than everyone else, because this is a market that is like very highly saturated with builders.
Yeah, I think obsession, as a builder, you have to be obsessed. Really good advice. I mean, Case in point, myself is included. I run the show Monday through Thursday. Guests do not pay me to come on. The only way I survive is through sponsors. But I'm here religiously Monday through Thursday, noon PST. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the media game. I'm building and talking to builders like you. You're obsessed with creating, a launch pad and creating the infrastructure for Robinhood. Builders have to be obsessed. And I think our market, the traders in this industry are aware and now smarter to understand that like they should only back projects with the founders who just are all in pretty much. Because if the
Exactly.
founder's not all in, you can tell kind of pretty fast. And if they're not all in, why should literally anyone care? Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully aligned with that.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little more about platform and then you, and then we'll wrap it up and probably bring up Jesse. Talk to us about the buyback model, because I think one of the interesting factors and a lot of the community really like is this 80%. I believe it's either the 80% buyback model or 20% burnout. Elaborate how the whole buyback model works.
Okay, so when people are launching, like a meme coin or a project on Pons, it is usually a 70-30 split, meaning that the creators are getting 70% of the fees of the 1% that we're charging on the pool level, and 30% goes to Pons. And within those 30%, we have the 80-20 split, which we're trying to decentralize right now. Right now, it's very much automated. And yeah, it's the 80% is basically we're buying back the token on the market and then just burning it. And so far, we burned almost 20%. We're really, really excited for that because it's a major milestone. It just means that those tokens are like out of supply or like circulation, right? So yeah, we're looking forward to that, and that's how it works. Yeah, soon with V2, it's gonna be a little bit different because right now one of the major concerns of the community, for instance, is that the creators are also earning the token itself that they deployed, as in like LP fees, and we're trying to take away that part because it like some of the creators are just constantly dumping on the users who are like aping into those charts, which I think is a major flaw at the moment. But soon with V2, it will be all ETH, meaning that the creator is forced to buy back the token or just leave it, like they can just, claim the ETH and then just, do their thing. But we obviously like encourage people to burn or like buy back, or, because I feel like that's kind of the meta right now, especially with us doing the exact same thing. And as you can see, like that's, that is one of the things that really got us far at the moment. So
Love it. Shout out to the 3,700 plus people tuning in live late night on Chain. We are with Meet God from Pons. A couple more questions. Number one, how did you become so good at shit posting, man? Like I recently started. You're really good, brother. Your stuff's elite. I like LOL. My wife just sees me on the corner chuckling, thinking I'm crazy, and I'm just like reading one of your tweets.
No, I used to be crazier back in the days, but now I'm like, I obviously have to like dial down a little bit. So yeah,
Elite, bro.
yeah.
Elite. You Nobi, elite. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
Thank you.
On a more serious note, though, talk to me about kind of what inspires you to build, because you've been around a bit and you've decided to over the years start building. You're an entrepreneur. The building obviously in this space is not easy. It comes with a lot of scrutiny, especially from traders, investors. And I know you could be doing literally anything you want in this world, but you've chosen to keep building innovative things on chain. What motivates you to build?
I mean, look, this is a pretty much open space, right? Unlike DeFi, not DeFi, TradFi, and here in crypto, it's just way more like it's way easier to be recognized. It's way easier to connect. Like I don't have to work for JP Morgan or something, or like Goldman Sachs in order to really get the connections going. Like here, I actually have a funny shit post because you like it so much. I was like once tweeting about it where I was like we're in a space where one guy from like let's say Indonesia or something with $20 to his name is like talking about tokens at like valuations and so on with a trader from the US who has a net worth of 2 million. That's just how funny it is. It is actually quite ridiculous. But I always told myself, like, just because you have like less money to your name doesn't mean that you're not knowledgeable or anything. Like you can obtain big chunk of knowledge in this space in a very short amount of time. And my motivation was just we can, like decentralize the world together, and we can build amazing stuff here without any restriction. I mean, of course, like there are restrictions regulatory wise, but other than that, like it's pretty much very open, right? Like if I need certain toolkits or like certain contracts and so on, I can just look it up and I can get it and I can deploy. And most of the, for instance, like the TradFi products that you want to build, oh, you have to do this, or you have to do that, you have to file for MTL and so on. Because I've been through the same thing with Roots, right? My other project that I'm running, it's in the payment sector. And I know exactly how painful it is, especially when you're trying to run payment systems on decentralized rails, and then all of a sudden, like your lawyer tells you, oh, like we might have to get MTL and this and that, and it's just a pain in the ass in my opinion. But crypto makes it possible, or like makes it way easier to build financial products or to be really in this decentralized field.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about this industry, as crazy as it is. It gives opportunity. It gives opportunity for builders all around the world to build products that they typically would not be able to. And it also allows the people in the trenches or in the community, investors, whatever, the opportunity to buy early access into companies they believe in. No longer are these old-fashioned, antiquated rules like accredited investing, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. And in America, there's this whole thing where you have to be an accredited investor to get into early stage, growth companies. Why? Because they care about the person. No, they don't, man. They just want to gatekeep it. People are smarter than what they think. And so I think crypto allows opportunities for everyone, for both the builder and the trader. All right. So last but not least, Ozzy, we love alpha on late night on chain. That is my thing, because the more alpha we get, brother, the more people tune in. Is there any alpha you can give to our community, those watching in today?
Well, I don't have any alpha besides like V2, which is like what I'm working on. Like honestly, I haven't really had much time to check out everything. Like I'm like still behind. I'm like replying to DMs and so on. So I'm pretty much heads down building, connecting and so on. So unfortunately not much alpha, but yeah, we're trying to make sure that maybe this week we can get, V2 get the V2 rollout. So yeah, that's like the only alpha that I have. If you're excited about it, or like if you want to learn more about it, like I'm more than happy to chat with the people in DMs, especially if it's like coming from a builder's perspective.
Absolutely. Last question, actually. Your thoughts on Robinhood, the chain overall. Obviously, most people are bullish. Do you feel, when you start hearing news about Base and all the shit show personally and other chains, do you feel what's your thesis on Robinhood in the next coming years? Do you think it's the next frontier, the chain that all builders will build on? What are your thoughts?
So yeah, about Base, like I don't want to say anything wrong because Jesse's about to come on. No, but on a serious note, like I think Robinhood definitely is a chain to stay, and I think a lot of people are having fun. And I said it before on a different show as well. I think that it's really exciting to see people trench on EVM again, because like I'm a ETH maxi and I love EVM. I'm building on EVM, so it's really cool to see. Unlike like Solana, like I think Solana is like slowly losing traction at the moment for obvious reasons, because like all of the volume is coming over to Robinhood. But I definitely see a big opportunity here for Robinhood as a company, as a chain, to really take over this sector of the market and like really nail it down for at least a cycle.
Amazing. Ozzy, my friend, I know you're a very busy man. You need to get some sleep. You're just out there crushing it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, we'll chat soon. Ozzy from Pons. I mean, hey, hopefully you learned it there too. That's the type of mindset, mentality that I love to see in a builder. Focused, obsessed. You have to be obsessed. Again, for those tuning in, 3,800 plus people, if you're building, you need to be obsessed, bro. You absolutely need to be obsessed in whatever you do. I don't care. Otherwise, you're going to fail. Ozzy's obsessed building Pons. I'm obsessed building this media show. You got to. I think that's great advice. Very, very articulate, man. I'm very excited to see the future success of Pons going forward. All right. Jesse will probably hopefully be on shortly, and we'll wait. But first, though, we got to play a word from our sponsor, BV7X. One of the cool things, guys, about being a presenting sponsor, We play a commercial clip. What other show does that? Late Night Onchain does that. A word from BV7X. Come in right now. That was a banger. That was an absolute banger. I must say, not because they're sponsors, but that was a banging episode. That was a banger video. Again, this episode's brought to you by BV7X. And they have an amazing video. Again, once they do, they gather info. Their consensus is your alpha BV7X. Shout out to Misha. Misha is one of the, again, talk about obsessed. He's a very obsessed builder as well. So easy to align myself with guys like that. All right, so Jesse will probably be coming up. Cool. This is how it works. And when you deal with guys like Jesse, you don't just like ring him up and be like, "Yo, bro, what up? You want to come on?" No, dude. With guys like him, you have to go through proper channels. You got to go through their initial, their internal communications team. You got to set the agenda, or not set the agenda. Actually, this episode, shout out to Jesse. He did not ask for any agenda. I think he's just going to freeball what I'm going to say. Very cool. Typically, what happens is you got to get questions approved. They have to run it, but this time he's just winging it, which I respect. But again, it's one of these things where he'll come on, set amount of time. So we got 30 minutes. So we're going to look forward to having him on. It's funny too, because when we agreed to, this was before any of this Brian stuff happened. So I think the questions are going to get a little juicier. The verse, it's time. The verse, for those that don't know, the verse is my brother. Not really, but he's like my brother from another mother. Highly recommend shouting him out, the verse 369. This guy, if you talk about trenches, man, he's a must follow. Me and him. First of all, this guy is now a Robin Hood maxi. But he comes from Pulse Chain land. Man, whatever happened to Pulse Chain? Richard Hart's ecosystem. There's a lot of potential. That's how we met, actually, back in 2023. Those are some fun days. PWBTC. Remember that chain. But anyways, the verse, shout out to you, bro. Really appreciate you. Methylene Blue. Maybe we'll be a sponsor. Gotta try to get him on. All right, guys. So we're just going to chill. If you guys have any questions, I'm all in. Oh, BB7X. I know it's about Pulse Chain. We'll be waiting for Jesse. He'll probably be coming up soon. So yeah, we'll just see. So hopefully you guys learned about a thing or two from Pons. I don't even know what's going on in the market. I do think though, Robinhood's here to stay. I think most people would probably agree. And the reason I think is simple. It's actually a chain that, oh shit, Slavic, you knew Pulse Chain, brother. We go way back on that one. We go way back. Pulse Chain is a very, it had potential. But enough about Pulse Chain. We have a very special guest, the one, the only, Jesse Pollak, my friend. How are we doing today, sir?
Doing good. Yeah. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. In case you don't know, Coinbase and Base is quite in the news recently.
Is it really?
Crazy.
No, I've been following, of course. I felt like we had a really great moment in the middle of last week where there was a lot of energy. I kind of shared my thoughts on, kind of the opportunity ahead of us and a lot of the learnings that we had in 2025 coming into the first half of this year. I think it's obviously been a little bit more negative over the last few days, but, for me, I'm really just like putting my head down, focused on building, focused on the same stuff I mentioned last week, and excited to be here and talking with you.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, Jesse. We go way back, and it's always an honor to have you on. So We're gonna get into, that vulnerable post that you made. I was very happy to see that, but I wouldn't be considered a crypto journalist if I didn't ask you the elephant in the room. What is your reaction seeing everything unfold recently with Brian's meme coin and his post today?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian's post kind of stands for itself, and I'd say this is Brian being the authentic Brian that we know and love. The man is relentlessly focused on building and upgrading the global financial system. I think he said it himself. He's maybe not as deep as in the trenches as some folks want, but I think that that's just who he is. And I think if you look at the track record and you look at what he's delivered over the last 15 years, he's just made such a positive impact on the industry. And that I feel like we got to applaud and celebrate and appreciate. And then, it's up to people like me to be more in the trenches. I'm building base. I'm leading that day to day. I'm talking to customers. I'm talking to y'all. I'm replying and DMing and having all the conversations with the trenchers. And I think there's a ton that we can continue to learn and continue to improve. But at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing, which is to move basically all of the world's money on chain, whether it's on the base or anywhere else in the world, and then make it so that you have everyone globally have access to that, so we can all benefit from this incredible new system, which is crypto for upgrading money.
Absolutely. I think from my perspective, here's how I look at things. I never really understood the hate that people gave you because you're in the trenches. As you said, you're in the trenches. You try. You don't always get things right, but you're out there. I say this all the time. Vitalik ain't doing anything. But and I'm curious to know your perspective on this because I think it's a valid concern. What do you say to the people who think that on the one hand, base is for, economic freedom, people to build, but in a way, a lot of people think they're hindered by Coinbase, the parent company who's incubating it all, who has the interest of, VCs and basically multi-billion-dollar interests, and they can only operate in a certain way, not necessarily aligning with the thesis of base. Do you see both being able to work together when the interests of Coinbase may not be aligned with the trenches and everything that comes with it?
Well, I mean, I said it in my post last week that I think the act of building a decentralized chain inside of a large public company, particularly being the first decentralized chain being built out of a large public company, is just like a really complex and kind of weird thing to do. And I think that over the last 3 years, as we've been building this, there's definitely been a lot of learnings and a lot of just like reckoning with that reality and trying to do the right thing. And sometimes we don't know, and sometimes we make mistakes, but then it's like, okay, learn and get better. Do I think those things are in conflict? No. If I look at the mission of Coinbase, it's to increase economic freedom globally. If I think about what Brian cares about, and 5 years ago, I think everyone was hating on Brian for staking out the mission first stance when it came to kind of like the culture wars that were happening then. And I think if you look back on that now, it's incredibly prescient. He stood up when no one else was willing to stand up and said, Coinbase is going to be mission first. We're going to focus on increasing economic freedom globally. And that's going to be the thing that kind of connects us all, even if we might disagree on other things. And so I don't think that there's a mission mismatch there. I also don't think that it's a thing where being a public company sometimes somehow has a disconnect there. Public companies are the life force of American growth over the last 75 years, and they are in fact the most retail accessible asset in the world. You look at maybe not most retail accessible asset in the world, but they're incredibly retail accessible in a way that most private companies aren't today. Right. And so I think that that's a good thing. And I don't think that that's an inherent, mismatch. What I do think is something that Brian really cares about is thinking long term. He doesn't want to be playing the game of is something that he's saying or that he's influencing, pumping an asset or driving a short-term outcome. He wants to be focused on building products. He wants to be focused on working with builders who are building products. And he wants to be thinking, how do we move forward the Coinbase mission of increasing economic freedom globally on a multi-year horizon? And so, again, I think that can piss people off sometimes because maybe they think that Brian could give them something else. But at the end of the day, he's going to be Brian. He's always been Brian. And I think it's a really great thing for the ecosystem.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, you can't speak on behalf of Brian. You're Jesse Pollak. You have your own interests in line. And at least, Base has someone like you championing it because it's important to kind of get up there. We're not going to dive too much more, but I'm very curious though, because do you have any perspective? Because I guess one of the things, and we'll get into everything that you said because it's important to highlight and the growth and the changes. Why now did you issue that statement? All those things. Mike, I have a question though. One of the things that I've noticed with certain ecosystems, and I hope it doesn't become Base. This is just, and again, I've loved Base since 2023 or 2024 actually. But I feel worried sometimes that like companies like AVAX, Coinbase, they start focusing more of the institutional side of things and prioritizing them over, grassroots builders and stuff. Do you see Base going down that path? Because, with the whole like 2025, obviously AI didn't really reduce the workforce. You had community leaders all across the world helping out. And obviously now it's a change. There's a perception in the trenches that now Coinbase is a little more focused on the institutional interest going forward with stablecoin payments and all that. Do you have any thoughts on that particular perception from people?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'll say is that we're seeing a tremendous amount of demand from the upmarket, more enterprise, and just more kind of scaled business kind of customer segment for what Base has to offer, whether that's people doing cross-border payments or it's people integrating Base as an exchange to trade spot crypto because Base has the most liquid spot crypto markets on chain, or it's people integrating Base as a financing platform to do borrow and lend. I think it's undeniable to us that the demand from that segment is really, really increasing. And that demand exists now in a way that just didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago. When we started Base, I wasn't getting calls from centralized brokerages saying, hey, like, how can we build financing on Base? How can we route our liquidity to Base? How can we do payments on Base? And that has really dramatically changed, where now that's like a huge amount of my time. And when we're thinking about trading and payments and we're seeing that customer demand, like we have to go and serve it. Like that's my job as CEO. I think that's not just, my job, it's a whole ecosystem's opportunity to lean into that distribution and to lean into that customer opportunity, because at the end of the day, those are the folks who today at least have millions of users, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars worth of capital that they can bring on chain. And so that's the first thing. Now, how does that connect to the long tail of builders? I'd say, if anything, Base's focus over the last 6 months has gotten more focused on the long tail of builders in terms of what specifically we care about. And that is trading, payments, and agents. We are investing in builders who are building trading infrastructure either on the demand side or on the protocol side, payments infrastructure either on the demand side or the protocol side, and then agents. And I think when you look at the track record of builders on Base, there's a ton of success. I mean, I see that you're sponsored by Banker. We love Banker. I advocated for and championed Base ecosystem fund investment in Banker in 2023, 3 years ago. That was, I think, one of the best investments we've made, because the impact that Deployer and that whole team has had on the Base ecosystem and really the whole crypto economy is incredible. I think when you look at agents, Virtuals was built on Base. I know that there's been a lot of kind of hubbub about Coinbase not supporting Virtuals as much as they could. And if you listen to Brian or Paul, I think what you'll hear is that there's some regulatory restrictions that Coinbase had on supporting different assets, but that's not reflective of how Base feels about Virtuals. We, from the beginning, have kind of shouted from the rooftops about the incredible innovation that they've done there. I think when you look at payments, you have more currencies with stable coins issued on Base than any other chain in the world. I think we're up to like 25 different currencies that are now available on Base, from issuers from, Tanzania to Nigeria to Argentina to Mexico. And so there's more innovation happening there. And I think our attitude has been, okay, let's go zero in and focus on those folks and make it so that those folks have the best possible time building. And, one of the things that that does kind of piss me off at times about the dialogue, particularly over the last, maybe week or so, is I feel like a lot of things get conflated. Like the one thing I just want to call out is I do feel like I and Coinbase broadly can do a better job of like listening to the trenches and our customers and figure out what are the core things we can do from a product perspective to make Base work better, to make the platform work better, to bring more builders into the market that can deliver product experiences. But one of the things that does frustrate me, and I feel like we're maybe gets mixed up in that negativity, is the track record of supporting builders. I mean, we have been doing the Base Ecosystem Fund for 3 years. We've run 3 iterations of batches. We're constantly trying to figure out how do we drive distribution to teams through Coinbase, through the Base app. And are we perfect at that? No. Are we perfect at choosing builders? No, because it's really, 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 really hard to be perfect when you're backing early stage builders. 99% of the time, it doesn't work out. That's the like rule of startups. But our ethos is we're going to build repeatable, scalable systems that help builders be more successful in building their products. And I think sometimes people get frustrated because in those systems they maybe aren't the ones who are getting support of batches or aren't getting invested by the Base Ecosystem Fund. And I will say that this cycle on batches, I think we had 1,200 or 1,300 teams apply, and we picked 12. Yeah. And there was no like backroom deal on that. We literally reviewed every single application. We then did, I think, 200 interviews, and we picked the 12 best teams based on the data that we had and the request for builders that we put out. Speaking of which, we just put out another request for builders. If you're building in global finance, we want to hear from you. And do I wish we could have the support and infrastructure and scale to support everyone? Absolutely. But we are not building a meritocracy or we are not building what's the word? We're not building a place on Base where everyone gets the same thing.
Yeah.
We're building a level playing field where if you're the best, you're going to get outsized support, you're going to get outsized reward, and you're going to get the opportunity for that best to shine through. And so honestly, I think that this is one, if there's one thing or another thing I might reflect on with me over the last, few years, I feel like at times I can be a little too lovey-dovey, where it's like, Base is for everyone. And there's a lot of truth in that. Base is for everyone. We want all kinds of people. We want all kinds of use cases, but that doesn't mean we're going to support everyone in the same way. What we want to change the world. And what that requires figuring out how from a massive stack of hay, we can figure out who are the teams that have the best shot at changing the world, and then give them the resources to be successful. And we're not always going to be perfect about that, but I think it's pretty freaking cool that Banker was a team we identified 3 years ago, and now they're changing the world. Like, I think it's pretty cool that that even happens, and our goal is to do more of that. It's not to spread the pie evenly across everyone because that's the best thing. It is to build the blockchain for global finance, and the way we do that is by creating meritocratic processes that give everyone a shot, and then support and reward and invest in the people who are the best.
Yeah. Shout out right now to the 4,095 people tuning in live. Late Night Onchain with Jesse Pollak, Base Builder 001, creator of Base, this episode brought to you by BV7X. I think I had a conversation with Eric from Coinbase, in charge of product of AI, and I think you make a good point. I think builders need to understand that just because you come on the Base, and this is just my perspective, you can't just the cream has to rise to the top, because there's only a certain amount of resources that you have to prove product market fit. And I think you need to just work on your own to build your own product market fit. Don't rely on don't rely on Robinhood, which we'll get into later. Don't rely on chains ecosystems to get you there. Build that market and then prove that there's product market fit, and then companies like will help support. And I think that's the right move, because you can't support everyone, and you need to do that.
And this is just to connect this back to like the drama of the last 5 days. Like, Do I think that the way this should work is Brian should change his profile photo, and that should lead to someone getting rich because Brian changed his profile photo? Whether you're a trader or you created the token, absolutely not. Because if that was the case, if that was how it should work, then all of the other teams that have been grinding on base, and I think about memes that have been grinding on base. Thank you, Base God, Toshi, all of these teams, Chad. It's hard for me to even name all of them. Like, they have been putting in work for years. And so if the precedent that Brian set or that I set was the way Based works is we're going to pick winners by doing things that drive short-term price outcomes, the downstream impact would be that we would reward short-term behavior, which would then disreward the long-term behavior, and I think lead to a much worse ecosystem overall. And honestly, the feedback that I resonated the most with, that people gave me in our community chat that you're in and other places, was, when this was kind of going on, it was like, why are we kind of like lifting up this one meme? Yeah. And I think, Brian wasn't intentionally doing that. He's just changing his profile photo and he doesn't want people to react to that. But if that was what was happening, I think that would be a bad outcome. And so for me, the thing that we want to do is we want to create a level playing field where people can perform at their best, be a part of this championship team, onboard customers, grow assets, grow trading volume, create things that have longevity. And then we're going to do everything we can to, as people get traction, because they're putting in the work, because they're acquiring new customers, because they're driving activity, we amplify it. Because that flywheel of people doing the work, making their own success, and then us serving as the level playing field and the platform that helps make that success possible and pushes it forward, I think that that's the best possible role that we can play. And candidly, anytime I feel like we've tried to do anything other than that, it's just bitten us in the butt. And so, like, I want to get out of the world where people are expecting that, kind of like us putting the fingers on the scale, and get back to the world where we're just focused on building great products, platform, and the meritocratic processes that help people succeed.
Yeah, no, good points. We have about 12 minutes for the viewers out there. I'm cognizant of Jesse's time, so we want to make sure we hit up all the things. Let's turn to your post on Tuesday, where you're very vulnerable and open. And one of the things that struck me was you basically labeled Creator Coins, Zora, Base App, Social as a failure. My question to you, Jesse, is why did you decide to make that post now, when you've known the trenches have told you, it was a long time ago that this was never going to work? So my question is strictly, why make the post now?
Well, I mean, I feel like I made a variation of that post maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And I felt like that was, received. People had a similar response. They said, "Great, thank you. We you're wrong. I'm glad you're finally, recognizing it." Why make it again now? I feel like there's always these inflection points in building a product, but particularly in building a community, where it's an opportunity for people to kind of like to recommit, right? It's like you recommit to the next tour of duty. That's what we call it at Coinbase, where you say, hey, like, I'm going to be here for the next phase. And I think the thing that I was feeling in the market was, I was looking across the space, and obviously competition is increasing. There's more folks who are coming and kind of seeing the success that Base has had and trying to figure out how do they do similar things. We've changed our strategy pretty significantly. We were focused on social before. Now we're really focused on trading, payments, and agents. I think there's been uncertainty for folks just in the broader market, where it's like, hey, prices are down. Like, what's Base's perspective? And for me, when you ask people to recommit to something, you want to make sure that they're recommitting with full context. And that's what this felt like to me. It was like, let me give everyone full context. Like, judge me, judge Base on our merits. We were imperfect last year. I, as a leader, I think led us in the right direction in some ways, i.e., like building these systems for builders, helping them be successful, but then the wrong way in others, particularly the social bet. And I'm going to own that because I think that that's what good leaders do. I'm going to take the learnings from that, and I'm going to point us in a new direction, which is building the blockchain for global finance, focusing on trading and payments and agents. And I want you to have all that information and to see who I am as a leader before you decide whether you want to recommit to Base. And that was the goal of the post. I think that I heard from a lot of folks that they felt like that was something that maybe they hadn't heard as clearly from me before, and that was valuable. And I think that my hope would be that a lot of people read that and say, okay, like we're ready to sign up for that. And, I'm a little frustrated that we had that great moment, and I think a little bit of reset, and then we a little bit retreaded the ground over the last few days. But from my perspective, nothing's changed. Base is focused as it has been for the last 6 months, which is a change, on building the blockchain for global finance. A core part of that is building the best ecosystem for builders in the world, so that if you are a world-class product builder or designer or engineer, and you're thinking about starting a new company or starting a new protocol, you decide to do it on Base. And you're going to get to build with me, and you're going to get to build with Brian, and we're going to take a long-term perspective, and we're going to build systems that reward and celebrate the people who take that long-term perspective as well. And that's going to lead to a lot of positive impact on the world. And so that for me was why I felt like I wanted to say it again. And I hope that message is able to come through.
Yeah, no, and I think, the post was very well received in the trenches. I think it's been a little foreshadowed by the recent activity lately, but there is no doubt that the people took very kindly to what you said and the authenticity. My question now to you, Jesse, would be, how do you view competition? Competition's coming. Obviously, Robinhood is the name of the game right now. How do you view competition personally? Does it fuel you? Does it motivate you to build the best at Base? And how do you plan on ensuring that the top builders, the top indie devs, the top builders come back to Base and choose Base over one of your competitors?
Yeah, I've always been a athlete. I grew up playing sports, team sports, played all the way through college until I dropped out. And so the kind of competition I like is respectful, challenging competition, where you're maybe in the same league with someone, and you see them as a peer and an equal, and their presence challenges you to be better. You play games, you duke it out, you score goals on each other, you have hard tackles, but then when the game's over, you shake hands and you look each other in the eye, you say good game. And then you go back to work and you get back to training and you focus on getting better yourself. That's how I think about competition. And I think the exact same thing applies to Base, whether it's our relationship with Base and Solana or our relationship with Base and Robinhood or anyone. The pie is so massive. Like, we're literally talking about moving all of global finance, all of the world's money, from legacy systems that were built 70 years ago into crypto. And we're like less than 1% of the way there. And so the opportunity with competition is not to, like knife fight and, use ad hominem attacks and, say this is the end all be all and that's, dead. It is to look at what each other are doing, to put each other head to head in certain places, and then learn from that and get better. And for me, for us, for Base, how we get better is we focus on building our products to be better. And whether that is making it so literally Base block space is better with things like the B20, so that you can launch better tokens that are more performant and that have better controls and do all the things that you need to, or with scaling the network, or with the programs that we offer, like Base Batches and the Base Ecosystem Fund, whether it's just how I show up as a leader, like that to me is what competition is all about. And, there's some days where I just tune into crypto Twitter and all I can read is like negativity. Yeah. And whether it's about Base or something else, it's just like, I don't think that that's the best of us. I think the best of us is when we're making clear observations about what we can be doing better, and we're saying, hey, this is the opportunity. This is how we improve. This is how we invest in, making ourselves better, or making our team better, or making our community better, or making our platform better. And that's what I'm focused on.
No, I mean, it's got to be kind of hard to deal with the constant negativity. So you do deserve credit for that. I mean, it's not easy. You put yourself out there. You're willing to attract the negativity and listen to it and give feedback. So you do deserve respect for that, at least from myself. The last question to you, Jesse, and we'll wrap it up. I know you were saying something about the Coinbase. Or you were mentioning Coinbase Wallet. You realized it wasn't. If you started out social, didn't work out. The trading is not where it wants to be. Now you're handing it off to Kobe. As you said, what exactly is Kobe's role in this trading, and where do you see the base wallet going from here?
Yeah, so I mean that was one of the things I shared last week. We've kind of taken the base app and we've shifted it to Kobe, and he's now leading it. I'm focusing on the chain. I think the big place that this came from was us just kind of staring down what is it going to take to actually build the blockchain for global finance, and me in particular feeling like having all of my time and attention on that, and making sure that I was in the trenches, whether that's in the trenches with the traders who are here on crypto Twitter, or in the trenches with our scaled enterprise brokerages who are integrating Base for financing and spot and other financial activities. That was the single most important thing and the single best use of my time. And the really great thing was that we have Kobe, who's, I think, an incredible trader, an incredible product thinker, an incredible leader who joined Coinbase 9 months ago. I think has brought a ton of energy to the company and to the team, who's really energized by the mandate of making the Base app the best place for trading as a UI. And so him and I have been talking about that for the last few months. We officially kind of made that call about a month ago to make that transition, kind of shifted ownership a couple weeks ago, and then shared it in the news last week. And my perspective is this is like a win-win. It's going to lead to more focus on the Base app, making that great for trading. It's going to lead to more focus on the Base chain and making it the best place for trading and payments and builders and agents. And I'm super fired up about it. And I think really one of the things that makes that possible is just the relationship that I've been able to build with that Jordan, Kobe, and I have been able to build over the last while. The man's just like super positive, super collaborative, tells it like it is unafraid, has good intuitions, and yeah, it's a pretty special thing when you find someone that you love working with, and particularly when you're maybe not directly working on the same things, but you can work in partnership across a large scope. That is kind of like how I've historically had some of the most generative kind of relationships, is getting to build with people in ways that maybe like wouldn't have been possible unless you had that really strong relationship. And so my sense is this collaboration is going to be one more example of that. I'm fired up about it.
Jesse, what would be a home run move for Base, and
what?
What would be? Convince Kobe to come on my show, my friend, and it would be great because Bill brings on the best of people, and I think Kobe would be a great guest. So if you want to put in a good word, sir, greatly appreciate it. Last question and last words, my friend, to you. You have to wrap it up. You have anything to say to maybe some that have lost interest, new participants on Base? The floor is yours, my friend. Any last words to the builders, developers, indie, on-chain enthusiasts out there?
I'm not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Life is long. There's always going to be something that goes wrong or goes right, and I think it can be pretty easy to feel like, oh man, like this is the end, but it never is. The only thing that matters, at least what I've learned over the last 13 years of building in crypto, is do you show up the next day? Do you show up the next day to take the learnings, to just put one foot in front of the other and keep building? And that's what I'm going to keep doing. We have an incredible Base core team who's going to keep doing that. There's a ton of builders who I'm constantly in touch with right now who are going to keep doing that. And I think the opportunity in front of us has never been more massive. And so, look, is there a lot we could have done better over the last year? Absolutely. But now's the time to double down. We're going to keep getting better, and we want you to be a part of that. And so if you're watching this, probably means that you care enough to be here. And I just want to say to you, like, we care about you too. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate you being a part of base and making base what it is. And it's still the very, very beginning of what's going to be a long journey to bring the whole world on chain. So thank you, and keep building, stay based.
Jesse, thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jesse Pollak, Base Builder 001, the creator of Base. There you have it, guys. 4,300 plus people tuning in live late night on chain with Jesse and with Pons. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Listen, I could have probably talked to him for another hour. Only got a half hour. Your boy will take what he can get. Your boy will take what he can get. But hopefully you guys learned some stuff. There was some genuine insight, whether you agree or disagree. You heard from Jesse. Now it's up to you guys to decide, whether you rock with it, you don't rock with it. That's on you. But one thing is for certain, competition's here. Competition's not going anywhere. It could, if there's anything that's going to light a fire in his ass, it's competition. So, Robinhood is something that's on everyone's radar, and I think Base clearly is aware of it. So as a builder, go for wherever you feel is best for you and see what happens. But anyways, guys, that's it. That is your boy Bill. We do this Monday through Thursday, noon PST. Tomorrow we have a really good show. Actually, all our shows are good, bro. I only bring on the best, baby. So hopefully you tune in. And if you liked what you had to see, retweet it. And hopefully we get Kobe on the stream. That would be dope. I would like to get to know Kobe. And we could probably have a very insightful conversation. All right, guys. Until next time. Peace.